Question on the line from Adam Donaldson, Wealth Politico. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm not sure you saw this before you went on live, Mike, that the government's moving forward with taking back those two properties in Ajax. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about that as a sign of, following your recommendations, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I did see that, and we've started to see some cracks in the Premier's refusal to provide Greenbelt protections. The withdrawal of the ministerial zoning order in Caledon that would have opened Greenbelt lands for development. Now the withdrawal of Greenbelt lands in Ajax. But the bottom line is the people of Ontario are demanding that the government restore all protections to Greenbelt lands. We simply cannot allow this Premier to enable a handful of wealthy, well-connected land speculators cash in $8.3 billion at our expense. The threats to the farmland that feeds us, the $50 billion food and farming economy, the wetlands and forests that clean our drinking water and protect us from flooding. And all of those actions are actually going to make the housing crisis worse because municipalities simply don't have the financial resources to service homes built through Ford's sprawl agenda. And that's why the Ontario Greens are going to continue to put forward solutions to the housing crisis where we build homes that people can actually afford in the communities they want to live in, close to where they work and spend time with their families.
Well, maybe to follow up, is there any, I guess I'm trying to get into the Premier's head a little, and maybe you could help me out. We saw this at the Auditor General's report. The Premier and the Minister come out and basically say they're not going to ask for resignations, they're not going to, step aside, they're not going to undo it. And then, 2 weeks later, Ryan Amato is out. I guess how long are you worried that the Premier and the Minister can sort of try and outrun this? I mean, and how confident are you that this can be a front boiler issue, especially as we're going into the fall and, teachers and everything else that's going on?
Well, first of all, I find it very difficult to put myself in the head of anybody who would put the interests of a handful of elite land speculators ahead of the people of Ontario, the people I'm elected to serve. I'm going to put their interests first, not the $8.3 billion that are funneled to literally a handful of wealthy, well-connected elites. Secondly, I think the people of Ontario are going to continue to demand that the Premier do the right thing, keep his Greenbelt promise, restore all protections to Greenbelt lands, the conservation easements on the Dufferin Rouge Agricultural Preserve lands, remove and fire his minister so there's some accountability brought to this process, and to quite frankly open a public inquiry so we fully understand the public policy implications of how anyone could put the interests of a handful of elites ahead of ordinary Ontarians, especially when we're facing a housing affordability crisis. So I think people are going to continue to demand action from this Premier to reverse opening the Greenbelt for development. And yeah, there'll be other issues that come to the forefront. There always are in Ontario politics. But this $8.3 billion Greenbelt scandal is not going to go away. And people are going to demand the Premier to do the right thing and restore those protections to Greenbelt lands.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. My commitment to the people of Ontario is that I'm going to continue to demand accountability for this Premier for his $8.3 billion Greenbelt scandal. I'm going to continue to demand that protections are restored to all Greenbelt lands, including the conservation easements on the Duffin Rouge Agricultural Preserve. I'm going to continue to demand ministerial accountability for Minister Clark. I'm going to continue to demand a full public inquiry into this $8.3 billion scandal. And most of all, I'm going to continue to be there side by side with all of you who are putting signs on your yards, attending rallies and protests, writing the Premier, writing the RCMP, demanding an investigation, supporting you, the people of Ontario, every step of the way, and amplifying your voice at Queen's Park so we can reverse this $8.3 billion Greenbelt scandal. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today.